Good morning, everyone. Hey, I got a word for you, quick word. I'm getting ready to go to work, but when I looked outside this morning, I seen it was raining, and it made me feel good because I was feeling refreshed. And when I walked outside yesterday, everything was dry and dead, and it just made me feel suffocated. You just feel like you can't breathe, you feel overwhelmed. And I'm not really a big heat person, but I push my way through it. But I heard the Lord say, I rain on the just and the unjust. Did you know God is no respecter of persons? He reigns on the non-believer and the believer. If you go back to your life and remember, God still blessed you when you weren't a believer. A lot of people that don't know the Lord are being blessed. Financially, they have high incomes, they're wealthy, they've become wealthy, they're blessed with material stuff, they're blessed physically, they're blessed emotionally, they're blessed in their marriage, they have beautiful families. I know non-Christians that have been married 40 years, 35, 38 years, and then I know believers that can't make it for 5 years because they're throwing the Bible at each other. They're taking the scripture and beating each other up with the scripture. Well, you're not acting like God. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. Well, you just show me one person that is perfect in this life, and then we can have a great conversation. But the Lord's showing me I reign on the just and unjust. I reign on the believer and I reign on the unbeliever. When you go outside, the rain is coming down on the believer and the non-believer. God is going to give water and health and blessings to the believer and the non-believer. When I didn't know the Lord, I was blessed in many ways. And when I became a believer at 21 years old, and the only reason I became a believer at 21 years old is because God chastened me, and I was in a horrible car accident, and the doctors didn't know why I should have lived. I should have broken every bone in my body, and I did break a lot of bones. I did break some bones. And they said that if my jaw would have went a hairline farther into my brain, it would have killed me. And I was not a believer when I got in the car wreck. But when I woke up from that car wreck, I said, there's a God. There has to be a God. Because I knew I shouldn't be alive. And God got my attention. But he didn't get it right away because I was I was like going to have my way. I'm a kid. I'm going to have my way. You know, and a lot of you parents think, oh, I'm going to change my child. I'm going to make them different. They're going to do what I say. They're going to live the way I want them to. No, they're not. No, they will not. That's not going to happen. In some instances, it does, and most of the time it doesn't. But my point is, God took that tragedy and turned my whole life around and made me the person I am today. And a lot of you don't know me. I'm a very, very private person. I keep to myself. And I know that's not the best quality. But God's, changing me. But my point is, God saved me because he knew I was going to be great in the world. He wanted me to do great things in the world. And I didn't know anything about God. I didn't know anything about Christianity. I didn't know the Bible. And this guy that I met when I was 21 years old, he kept coming to my door at 7 o'clock in the morning and pounding on my door. And he had a Bible under his arm, and he wanted to teach me the Bible. And that was back in the day when people did things really cool, when they did things in an amazing way, when it was like connection with people. We didn't have phones in our face 24/7. We could actually socialize and talk to people. But long story short, he led me to the Lord, and he told me the first time I looked at the Bible, he said, turn to the book of Job. And I said, you mean Job? And he goes, no, Job. And I go, you mean Job? And he said, no, Job. And he started laughing. Well, anyway, long story short, he fell in love with me, wanted to marry me. I asked God. By then, my relationship with God was growing, and I started hearing the voice of the Lord at 21 years old. And the Lord said, no, that's not your husband. Well, I just found out a few years ago he died of a massive heart attack. But he ended up getting married and had some beautiful kids. But God knows your future. He reigns on the just and the unjust. He blesses the non-believer and the believer. And don't tell me the devil's doing it, because it has nothing to do. Yeah, I know the devil does a lot of things, but the devil gets too much credit. And but the point I'm making is the Lord showed me this morning, I reign on all humanity. I want to bless all humanity. I want to be the God, the creator of all humanity. And when I came to the Lord and really meant business, I made a vow to God when I was 21, I don't care if I stand alone, I'm going to walk with you, Lord. And that's what I've done. And no matter the hardships I've gone through and the horrible things that's happened to me, the tragedies, and I've had some tragedies, because other people aren't going to go the distance with God. And God's going to test you. Do you really love me? Are you going to go the distance? Well, there's only two ways to go. You're either going to go to the left or the right. You're either going to go to heaven or you're going to go to hell. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. So just know that I never wanted to do these videos. God told me to do these videos. God told me he wanted to give me a platform. I don't care about platforms. I don't care about getting my face out in front of anybody, because that's just not who I am. But I'm just obeying the Lord. That's it. And has it been difficult? Yes. Have I had a lot of tragedies in my life? More than you could ever think or imagine. But the one person I will never give up on, and that's the Lord. And you guys, I hope you make that decision today not to give up on the Lord. Give your heart to the Lord today. Receive him into your heart. Mean business with God, and he will mean business with you. He loves you unconditionally. He's the only one that loves you unconditionally. So many people I have found out in my life in the last 2 years loved me conditionally, not unconditionally. Because you know what? None of them are there. A handful are there. The rest of them went about their way. And you know what? God said, that's fine. Let them go. They're not going to be with you in the end. Some may come back, but some may not. It is the way it is, folks. Know that when God removes those people out of your life, it's a blessing, because God knows their hearts. He knows your heart. God reigns on the just and the unjust. Read the Bible. Don't listen. You can listen to your pastor, and wow, he's a man. He makes mistakes. Ministers make mistakes. Pastors make mistakes. Prophets make mistakes. We're people. We're human. We live in the flesh. Our spirit is willing, but our flesh is weak. Trust the Lord today. Ask him into your heart. Let God's will be done in your life. Don't follow man. Don't surrender to man. Don't make man an idol, but go to God for everything in your life, and you will get through it. Because some of you don't know what is ahead, a year or 2 or 5. And some of you, if God showed you, it would scare you to death. But know that God is the king over your life, and he reigns high, and he reigns on the just and the unjust. I love you guys. Be blessed. Have a great day. And I hope this blessed you. Bye.